This is the brand new DJI Mini 4. With this new drone, there are a ton of new upgrades from software to hardware, video capabilities, tracking capabilities, and a ton more. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 10 most important ones and answer the super important questions of who is this drone for, who is it not for, and is it worth upgrading if you're someone who already has the Mini 3 Pro. Without further ado, let's get into it. When DJI released the Mini 3 Pro, it was honestly a massive game changer to the sub 250 gram drone market. It honestly blew my mind that you could get such good quality videos from such a small drone. From professionals like myself, all the way to beginners who are just picking up their first drone, it was super impressive. But like usual, DJI has made some serious upgrades to the Mini 4. So I'm just gonna dive right in here to one of the biggest upgrades to this drone is the fact that it now has omnidirectional obstacle avoidance. That was surprisingly hard to say. It is the first sub 250 gram drone to have this. It is genuinely really hard to crash this drone. This is super important for beginners and people who are getting this as their first drone, just because you can fly with the peace of mind that you know the drone kind of has your back. So if you don't see an obstacle or something, you know the drone is most likely going to see it for you. But on the other side of things, even if you've flown for forever, this can also be super helpful there as well. Especially when I was flying my Mini 3 backwards, I was always kind of like looking up at the drone while I look at my shot just to make sure it wasn't gonna hit anything. But with this drone, you can just 100% lock into what you're filming and only focus on the shot. Which leads me to number 2, which is upgraded active track. I've actually tested this feature out probably more than anything else because it's really freaking good. When you're tracking things, there's this super intuitive user interface where you can basically just place the drone wherever you want in relation to your subject. So whether you want it on the side, front, or behind, you can just super easily move your finger to where you want the drone to go. And the tracking recovery on this is amazing. For example, if you're in a car and the drone flies behind some trees in between the subject and the drone, it'll continuously keep that same path until it regains the track, and then it'll continue on in one continuous motion. And especially for shots where you're tracking sideways, you know that it's going to avoid any trees along the way, which allows you to get really cool shots with just foreground kind of swiping right in front of the drone. This, of course, obviously is a incredible demonstration.
I'm a professional. This is what I do.
When the drone does encounter an obstacle, it smoothly just goes around it without interfering with the shot. It also has point of interest where you can perfectly circle around an object and just easily adjust the speed and distance away the drone is. Another awesome small note about this drone is it actually uses the same batteries as the Mini 3 Pro, which I believe is the first time that at least I've noticed DJI has carried the same battery between two majorly upgraded drones, which is great for people who already have the Mini 3 Pro because you can just use the exact same batteries in the new drone because batteries are not cheap. As far as flight time goes, this drone is actually the exact same as the Mini 3 Pro at 34 minutes with the normal battery and 45 minutes with the upgraded battery. And you might be thinking, WTF DJI, I want to fly my drone
Forever.
And while I do definitely kind of agree with that, I'm actually okay with this battery life being the same. Because honestly, when I'm flying at a location, I rarely go over that limit. And if you do really want to fly longer, you can just buy the upgraded battery. I believe why this is the case is just because the new drone, especially with new features like active track and everything, is just drawing a lot more power than the old aircraft. So while yeah, you're getting the same flight time, the aircraft you're flying is much better. I have just one more quick one before we get into probably the most important thing, which is the video quality. And that is that this drone now has O4 transmission technology. The DJI Mini 3 had O2, and honestly, the difference is super noticeable. On paper, the range of the Mini 3 is 18 kilometers, and the range of the Mini 4 is 20, which doesn't sound like a ton, but the main situations where you're gonna notice a difference is when you're flying around anything that's gonna cause interference. Things like buildings or trees or flying at a low altitude can really affect video transmission. And the 4 performs much better in these scenarios. With O4 transmission as well, you're able to transmit 1080p 60 video as opposed to 1080p 30. So that's the feed that you're seeing on your phone or controller when you're flying. Okay, finally, let's get into the video quality itself. And yes, it does have that same vertical shooting technology where the sensor just rotates, which is awesome if you're just looking to shoot for social media. And on this drone, the vertical shooting works with active track. And finally, the Mini 4 supports D-Log-M, which is gonna give you much better dynamic range for situations like sunsets or at night. and is gonna give you a ton more flexibility in post to edit it. And for anyone who isn't planning on doing a bunch of color grading in post, it also shoots in HDR, which doesn't give you quite as much dynamic range as D-Log-M, but still is much better than just shooting normal. And the HDR works for 4K 60 and under. The Mini 4 also now shoots at 4K 100 frames per second. And the fact that you're shooting in 4K means you can crop in post. Another thing that's massive for me is that you can actually go in and change the sharpness level. Sometimes in certain situations, DJI drones that I've had in the past or even currently have, they had this it was either weird over sharpening or weird under sharpening. So now you can go in and just change that in the drone. Another thing that is an awesome upgrade is just a much improved GPS return to home feature. Because now that it has 360 obstacle avoidance, it can do a much better job at just navigating the terrain getting back to you. Okay, so now on to my final thoughts about this drone. Who is it for? Who is it not for? And if you already have the 3, should you upgrade to this? Before I answer that, I want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, you guys. I don't have a sponsor for today's video, but I just wanted to take this little time slot to genuinely just say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to watch my videos and support me. I'm able to have the coolest job in the world because of you guys. All of your likes, comments, and just overall support seriously mean the world to me. As a thank you, I'll be putting an extremely adorable photo of a baby elephant at the end of this video. So thank you, let's get into my final thoughts. Okay, so as you can tell from this video, I really like this drone, but there is a certain group of people that this drone probably isn't for. If you're someone who needs top quality, cinema grade shots, this drone might not be for you. Now I am a professional drone pilot, and most of the time this drone does just fine. I'm honestly shocked how good the footage looks. But the bigger sensors on the Mavic 3 line or the Air line are definitely gonna give you a better image. On top of that, if you need multiple focal lengths like the Mavic 3 Pro provides, this drone doesn't have that, although it does have a wide angle attachment. It doesn't have anything like the 70mm or the 170mm in the Mavic 3. But this drone is a perfect choice for basically anyone other than that subset of people. For beginners, this is 100% my #1 recommendation. With the 360 obstacle avoidance, it's never been easier to learn how to fly a drone without worrying about flying into your neighbor's house.
He has dreamed about this his whole life. Oh!
And even for professional pilots like myself, sometimes I just want a drone that's super light and easy to carry and bring with me and not take up a ton of space in my bag, but still be able to drone. The video quality that I'm getting out of this thing is definitely good enough for 95% of the clients that I work with. If you're someone that already has the Mini 3 Pro, there honestly is a lot of good reasons to upgrade. If you have to take out a second mortgage on your house in order to afford the Mini 4, definitely don't do it. The Mini 3 is a really great drone on its own, but if you can afford it, I'd definitely recommend upgrading when you can. The fact that you can use the same batteries is a huge plus. And I know there's gonna be a ton of videos out there that you guys could be watching, so I really appreciate you taking the time to watch mine. Like I said, I don't have a sponsor for today's video, so all I ask is that if you're someone who's already planning on buying this drone, there's an affiliate link down in the description, and it would really mean the world to me if you just used that link. I get a small kickback, which just helps me make more videos like this. But that's it for this video. See you guys in the next one.